If young Metro don't trust you, I'm gon' shoot you. Beautiful morning, you're the sun of my morning, baby. Nothing in the
We all have times in our life when we made a mistake or we did something wrong, and we look back at it and think what we could have done differently. And in my life, there's one scenario which really comes to mind, and that was back in about fourth or fifth grade. And I just met a new friend named Max, and Max was shorter than all of us because he had a growing disease. And me and him have gotten to become really close friends. And one day during recess, we were going outside, and it was a nice day, as I recall, and everything was going well until a couple of people approached us. Their names were Justin, Jake, and Sam. They were the cool kids in the school. Me and Max weren't very popular, so we didn't have that many friends. But Justin, Jake, and Sam approached us at recess, and out of nowhere they just started calling Max names like Pipsqueak, Loser, and Freak. And I could tell immediately that it really crushed Max, and I could tell he was really hurt from the get-go. And they just kept piling it on. And at the end, when they were all done with the name calling, they ended up shoving him to the ground and calling him a loser, and then they just walked away. And it was all so much to take in, and I could just tell that my friend Max was just absolutely devastated, and I just stood there. And I bet you were wondering what I was doing while all this was going on, and the reality is I did nothing. I just stood there and watched it happen. My friend needed me in that time to stand up for him, and I stood there and let it happen. I was not a good friend in that moment, and I look back at it now and I still regret it. And I think, what could I have done differently to prevent it? Or what could I have done to help out my friend, or possibly even put an end to what the bullies were doing? The reason that this is an example of social inequality is because he was being discriminated against because of his height. He had absolutely no control over his height. It was something he was born with, his growing disorder. And it was just because of chance. He had absolutely no control. There was nothing he could do about it. It's also his master status. It's something that people can't look past. The first thing they think when they think of him is his height. He had absolutely no control over it, and he was left vulnerable to the situation, and he's left vulnerable to bullying. The sociological dynamics that normalized the inequality in this situation was social status, for one, because the three boys were the highest on the totem pole. They were three of the coolest kids in the school, and they had a very high social status, so no one really wanted to go against them, and it was perceived as normal to just listen to what they were saying. And also just norms, because people don't want to cause controversy, and it's norms to just sit back and watch it happen instead of going against the grain and trying to stand up for yourself, because that would cause a scene, and people would rather just be comfortable just doing nothing instead of trying to act out. In terms of what I could have done differently looking back, I really could have done anything and it would have helped the situation, but specifically, I would have stood up to the bullies, told them to go pick on someone your own size and leave my friend alone, and just have my friend's back when he needed me the most, and I really could have helped out the situation. In terms of structure versus agency, I believe that people should be able to act on their own free choices, and they shouldn't have to be tied down to the rules. Sometimes it's okay to break the rules, and in that situation it would have been normal to sit back and do nothing like I did, but sometimes you have to act on your own free choice and own free will and make your own decisions, go against the grain, and do what's right.
Spend all your time waiting for that second chance.